You first get that diagnosis, you get that paper and it says Eustachian Tube Dysfunction, you're like, what is this? What the heck does that even mean? What does that even mean? So what do? You're going to Google it and you're going to start reading about it. And then when you start Googling it, you're still confused on what it is, but it's telling you to do different things. Primarily what it's telling you to do is that you need to take nasal spray and you need to take this decongestant and you need to take all these other things that are really not targeting the problem. To all the ENT providers out there and treatment centers and whatnot that diagnose these patients with this condition, with tinnitus and all these other things, please, I would just say, from someone that's not a doctor, that didn't spend the amount of time that all of you probably have, I just want to say, take a little bit more time when you do that. Spend a little bit more time with these patients, if you have it, of course. And if you can't provide the time, a little bit more education in these visits, a little bit more paperwork to go home with, or email, something to help all of these struggling individuals out there who are dealing with more of a mental problem when it comes to this condition, that are now facing this new reality of what is living again. I can tell you right now, I've gotten so many emails, so many messages, good and bad, about what am I doing? Why are you doing this? Why are you highlighting so much on this one or two or three different things when it comes to this condition? Why are you focused and hyper-focused on this problem? Well, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to answer this as short and sweet as possible. I was a patient of this small condition that I thought would go away in a week, tops. And it ended up changing a lot of my lifestyle around. It did. When I tell people this, they say, well, do you really want to relive that again in these videos? Yes, I do want to relive that again. I want to relive this again because reliving it again is helping bring some understanding to the surface for people that are going through it. And some people also tell me from a business perspective, this isn't very profitable. You should be talking more about like anxiety and helping people who have chronic anxiety. Well, this will give you anxiety. This will give you problem, but the basis is this condition. I will continue to focus on this condition because there is absolutely no help out there. If you Google this condition, what you're going to find is some people telling you how to get rid of it with some techniques and whatnot and so have you. And then you're going to have a bunch of people confused on how to get rid of it. And that's not enough. That's not enough. That's not enough resources. That's not enough firefighters to fight that fire. It's not enough. And that is why you need someone that's going to jump in and question everything, try to help advocate for this thing. And I'll continue to do so because I see that I'm needed here. And I just get really frustrated because all the clinics that all of you are going to, all these top-notch clinics and doctors and professionals, it's just not giving enough time to these people. It's not giving enough time for all of you. And the reason why I know that, because I've done the numbers. I have my own analytics. I have in this video, when you're done watching this video, if you will scroll down to the description, you'll see a nice little hyperlink that says take the assessment. I am building my own case. I am establishing my own analytics. I am going to show how many people are suffering from the same amount of things and not being treated that way. They're being treated outside of what the analytics shows. Stats and analytics are very important to get the focus on what's really at the problem source here. What's really the issue here. It's not going to always solve the problem knowing analytics, but what it's going to do is going to bring to attention where attention has been lost for I don't know how many years. And it's just not simply a nasal problem in terms of congestion, in terms of shooting nasal spray up there. There's many research out there right now that tell you should not do that. You should not overdo it. You should not try to treat that way. And yet, here we are. If I really collected all the little bottles of nasal spray that I was given, and I was given a lot, and not all has been given through a prescription. I was given bags of it just as free samples. Here, take this gigantic bag of free nasal spray and go use it. And I was like, oh, that's very generous of you. And as I drove home, I was saying again, that was very generous of them. And then I get in my house, I said, oh, that's very generous of you. Then I realized, wait a minute, this crap's not working. It's not working. It's actually making it worse. After like 2 weeks of doing that consistently, didn't work. I'm one of those people that if you tell me you should do it this way. This would be the best way to do it. And you have reason, and I have reason to believe that that you give me good information, and I trust what you're telling me. I will follow things to the T. If I know, if it's justifiable, it makes sense, it's logical, I will continue to keep the same process. I won't break stride. I will keep going with the process. And that's what I did. Little did I know, I checked my blood pressure had gone up. I was always dehydrated. I started having dry skin. I started having dry nasal passages. I started having a more nasal congestion. Because of the nasal congestion, I started getting delirious and very like off balance because I couldn't get good air going through my nose. There was just so many things that went wrong. I could really list a whole bunch of stuff, but really this is just to bring PSA out there, because it's frustrating, and I just want everybody to know that. And when I went into these clinics, I won't name any names here today, I went into these clinics and I explained to them what was going on. And after about months of doing this, I was able to almost in verbatim know what that professional, that doctor was going to say to me next. So I was literally not trying to disrespectfully do it, but I was almost intercepting with their next response because I knew what it was going to be. I got so sharp in these visits. I got so sharp at managing these visits and going through all these appointments that I was a professional at this point, and not in a good way, but I was a professional at this point. I was naming so many things that I was having the doctor say, "Oh, you've done your research." You're dang right, I've done my research. I've been doing it for 3 years. And so I can't tell you that how important it is to go in there and it's hard because you're going through these visits and you're struggling. You shouldn't have to go in there like you're trying to impress anyone or you're trying to convince anyone. It should be like going in with your hand out, like, help me, pull me up the mountain, right? But it's not like that. It's like you have to go in and prove this isn't your first rodeo. I've been doing this and doing this and doing this. So when you go in with that kind of mindset, I would go in and say, hey, you're not going to get me out of here off of just 1 or 2 responses. You're going to have to really sit and talk with me through this thing. And then I'm really going to have to realize, I'm going to know that I extracted enough information out of this that now I will go and take that home. So I took all the information that was given to me. I extracted it out of that appointment, and I went home and I literally compiled my own research. I really started to weigh the pros and cons. I had a little notebook and I wrote things down and I said, okay, this is new. This is different. I didn't hear this one before. Oh, let me go dig a little bit more into that. Let me dig a little bit more into this. You almost have to be like this administrative professional / troubleshooter / very high experience medical tech / doctor, nurse, practitioner to really get through this thing. And I've gotten emails where people ask, did red light therapy really heal you? And I will say, it was the basis and the propeller of my healing experiment, yes. But was it the sole ingredient? No. Because there is no sole ingredient with this condition. There is no sole ingredient with mostly anything you do in life. There's no sole ingredient. There's no sole purpose. There's multiple criteria, variables that have to get put into place for things to work. You see that in fitness. You see that in diet. You see that in life, relationships. There's a lot that goes into it, not just 1 or 2 different things. And I want all of you to know out there right now, if you need to share this video in the appointment, feel free to do so. Because this is what's happening. You go into these visits with high hopes, high expectations, that you're going to come out with at least more than you went in with, or at least more hope than you went in with, and you actually come out feeling worse. I've actually done videos on my channel that you could find where the post-appointment, you feel worse. The anxiety goes up. I actually measure my resting heart rate a lot because I feel like the resting heart rate has a lot of telltale in it. When your resting heart rate goes up unexpectedly, you can predict that there's something going on. It could be a virus. It could be something troubling your body. It could be nerve problems, you name it. So I tracked my resting heart rate quite a bit. And when I noticed that I was going through ETD stuff, my resting heart rate went from 55 to 61, 62, 63, started climbing with the nasal sprays and prednisone and all these other things that were giving to me. And I realized that it didn't do anything but shift my body into another ailment. It's just shifting ailments is basically what's going on. It's not really taking problems away, it's shifting the ailment. So like I might be able to breathe today, but my heart rate and my blood pressure is going up. So it's like, do I really want to deal with that? So, you know what I mean? Like, so, you know, you might be able to breathe clarity, and breathing with nasal spray and all that good stuff wasn't good and pleasant either. I was basically, all the air and everything that I would breathe in was just like manipulated. Like it smelled like the nasal spray everywhere I would go. Food tastes like nasal spray. It was awful. So as I'm driving home with that tremendous bag of free sample nasal spray, feeling very gracious and feeling just hopeful, I realized I was actually just putting more problems into my body that I didn't need. So a lot of you out there going through this stuff, you're feeling this stuff, you're feeling this impact. And I want all of you to know that it does have an ending game. It does have an ending, a conclusion, but it takes time. Even for you all out there that are 10 plus years, it's not over with yet. You got to keep fighting a good fight. You got to not give up. You got to keep believing that your body will prevail you through this, but it is going to take some participation between this and this to get through all of that stuff. And you're going to have to use these professionals as advanced I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but I just have to say it. You're going to have to use these appointments. I'll say that. You're going to have to use these appointments for almost an in-person advanced chat GPT in some way. I know that sounds bad, and I'm not diminishing the importance of medical professionals at all, because I have high regard for medical professionals. But when it comes to this condition and you don't feel settled, it depends on the physician, it depends on the clinic, it depends on how devoted they are with you and how much time they have. There's a lot of variables, but you're gonna have to use that appointment as a way to gain very expert knowledge of them, because they are experts, but there's a certain degree of relevance in what is needed to perpetuate what's going on here, to find an ending result based on that individual's criteria. There's more to it than a one size fits all. You don't just walk into a coat factory and say, oh, that fits, there you go. It's more to it. It takes a lot of digging, a lot of determination, a lot of like housing how that person lives, how they feel, how they dress, whatever. It's a lot of variables. So I realize with myself, when I speak to all of you about this, I can't just shove everybody into a box and give them the same thing. That's why I really spend time individually with all of you, because you can't just preach about one thing and expect everybody to get it, or expect that information that comes out of your mouth to be helpful, because you really got to know where someone is in life, their age, their habits. You got to go deep, like almost ancestry deep, to figure this thing out. I know it's it sounds very, just like, wow, I got to do all that. But it's important to figure out this thing, because it's not going to go away just like that. You know, it's not going to go away in one shot, one remedy, one pill, one light, anything. It takes a lot of work. So that's why I'm here, everybody, to let you know I'm here with you through all the thick and the thin. And even when it gets thick, I know what that feels like. I know I've had doctors and nurses do a lot for me too. But if I didn't go home with the same motivation that I went in with, I would be suffering still. So remember, you are your best advocate. You are your best healer, and no one's going to take care of you like you're going to take care of yourself. I hope this video was very helpful for you. If it was, please take time to subscribe to the channel. I try to bring content as often as possible. But in the meantime, I'm going to step out of the Jaye Wellness Studio and leave you in good hands with this video. Like anything else, folks, we're here to simply go back to the basics. Take care, everybody, and I will catch you in the next video.